Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mira Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to take a look at the. I'll save that one for the next segment. We're going to take a look. Oh, we're going to talk about. Oh, I guess we're not talking about Pacers Bucks basketball. I apologize. Um, yeah, let's talk about the Pistons and Knicks. I'm kind of in a standstill. I only wanted to pick one of these two games because both games are going to be kicking off later tonight for game two. So we're gonna recap game one and then jump into game two. The first of the two I'm gonna cover. Of course, we're gonna start in the East, save the better one for last in the West. In the Eastern Conference, we have the Pistons taking on the New York Knicks tonight in game two. Um, Game one was exquisite between these two teams. I know that's a crazy word to say for an NBA playoff game or an NBA game in general, but it really was incredible, exquisite game with the physicality on both teams. Cam Payne down the stretch for this New York Knicks team, a player that we really haven't heard his name all season long, but a big midseason acquisition or not. I believe it was an offseason acquisition for the Knicks. But Cam Payne pulling in 11 points down the stretch here, finishing with 14. He played unbelievably down the stretch for the New York Knicks. Um, but I think this really comes down to the play of Jalen Brunson. Brunson finishing with 34 points. Um, Overall, 8 assists in this game. He played unbelievably all season long. He, especially coming back from injury, we lamented. Um, Before previewing the series at the end of the regular season, we lamented how he came off of injury for a month or so from a calf injury. We didn't know what to expect from Jalen Brunson. We didn't know how he would come out in these NBA playoffs, how he would respond to some people kind of underrating this New York Knicks team in these before these NBA playoffs. I know, myself included. I picked the Pistons to win this series, but in game one, it was the Jalen Brunson show. It really was. But I think the Detroit Pistons going on a 36-26 run to finish the third quarter played a big role in um played a big role in this game. They really stepped on the gas in the third quarter, trying to take control of the momentum. But in the fourth quarter, it was all New York Knicks basketball, going on a 15-0 run at one point, climbing all the way back from their deficit, and it was really all sparked by Cam Payne. Um, 11 points in the fourth quarter, shooting 3 for 5 from 3 point range, 14 points total in the game. This is why I'm saying it was the Cam Payne show, because it was the Cam Payne show in the fourth quarter. If it wasn't for him in the fourth quarter, I don't think the New York Knicks could have won this game. And it was 14 big points coming off the bench. Points that you really don't expect from that side of the bench. A player that really needs to step up his game if the New York Knicks want to win this series was a Mikal Bridges. Whether that was the physicality of the Detroit Pistons overall on the offensive side of the ball with Cade Cunningham, with Malik Beasley possibly bullying Mikal Bridges on the when he was guarding them on the defensive end of the ball. I can't really point to another reason why Mikal Bridges would only shoot 9 shots in a game. A player that's the number 2 option on a, I wouldn't say, or he would say he's the number 3 option on really not really an offensive team outside of Jalen Brunson. Karl-Anthony Towns is good, but he's not really an offensive shooter. Mikal Bridges is the shooter for this team that you expect down the stretch to shoot about 12 to 15 shots a game. Normally finishing with about between 15 and 25 points a game. This game only shooting 4 for 9, 0 for 2 from 3-point range, only finishing with 8 points, not really having his best game of the season. That's why it continues to prove my point. Why Cam Payne down the stretch was so crucial for this team. Why he played a big role in their win down the stretch here. But yeah, overall, this is more about. I'd say this is more about the New York Knicks basketball coming into this game being heavily underrated against the Detroit Pistons. Like I mentioned, I was one of them. I thought the Detroit Pistons' physicality, their youth, their consistency, they've really gotten hot down the stretch in the regular season. Their consistency on the offensive end was going to prove why they were the better team overall. But even with that, three Detroit Pistons players finishing with over 20 points, Tobias Harris being the star of the show for this team in game one, finishing with 25 points, shooting 8 for 13, 4 or 5 from 3-point range. I think he was absolutely crucial in this one. Absolutely. It's not even close. But I think a major reason why he became such a big piece in this one was because Cade Cunningham had such a slow day. Still had 21 points, but only shooting 8 of 21 from the field. I apologize. I feel like I have a bug next to my ear. Shooting 8 of 21 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3-point range. Finishing with 21 points. He did have 12 assists in this game. He's always been a facilitator. This is why I say Cade Cunningham's really becoming a number one option on this Detroit Pistons team. He's really growing into it. He's grown into it all season long. And he's probably if there's one guy I'd say that's going to become not the guy that has the most to prove, but the guy that's going to prove the most, that's going to increase his stock as an NBA star player, as a growing superstar in this league. I think the credit has to go to Cade Cunningham with his performance, not only this season, but throughout the playoffs as well. We've seen so far in game one in a double-double performance from him. But yeah, another player that's going to have to continue performing is Malik Beasley. We all know he's a big scoring threat on this team, very similar to Mikal Bridges, a shooter for this team. You expect him to shoot about 12 to 15 shots a game as a major offensive threat. He finished with 20 points, 6 of 12 from 3-point range, finishing really efficient from the 3-point stripe. He was a big reason why the Detroit Pistons were in this game. But yeah, like I mentioned, a lot of this, I think this game came down to Cam Payne getting hot in the fourth quarter, the New York Knicks just stifling the Detroit Pistons. We could say that the Detroit Pistons, this is their first playoff game as a core, like their core group, outside of a Tobias Harris, outside of a Malik Beasley. This is the first playoff game for a lot of the young talent on this team, with Jalen Duren, with Cade Cunningham. Jalen Duren only finished with 7.6 rebounds. I expect him to have a little bit of a bounce back game in his next game. We know Jalen Duren can perform better than 7 and 6. It's not a bad performance, but it's a little bit below his average, what we expect. We expect closer to 9 and 9, 12 and 9, something closer to that benchmark from Jalen Duren. Just because we know his talent, we know what he can be, we know his stats against the New York Knicks have spoken for themselves in general. But yeah, this game was more about the New York Knicks, I'd say, than it had to do with the Detroit Pistons. As much as I love this Pistons team, I think the New York Knicks experience really showed out in the fourth quarter. Coming back from a 10-point deficit, going on a 15-0 run over I think it was a 3 or a 4 minute stretch in the fourth quarter. It was unbelievable. It was the New York Knicks show in New York. But I think it's okay. You expect the New York Knicks to come out and win that game. If they had lost that game, that really would have thrown the series for a whirl. Like I mentioned, this is a first playoff game for a lot of these Pistons. On the road in a hostile environment, game one in Madison Square Garden. If Detroit had come out and won game one of this series, the New York Knicks would have heard it from the wazoo. They would have heard it. They would have heard it from Boston. They would have heard it from Los Angeles, California. All the way on the other side of the country, they would have heard New York fans in an uproar, because you can't lose that game against a new young team in the Detroit Pistons in their first playoff matchup. That is where I'm going to leave it. Game 2 set for 7:30 tonight, in what will be an unbelievable game, I'd say. Um, I would say it's the best game of the night, but the other game is better. I'm gonna take a short break, but when we come back, we're gonna take a look at Clippers Nuggets basketball, recap game one between these two teams. A spectacular game one, a spectacular finish to game one. A player that deserves a lot of credit, that has not heard a lot of credit throughout the regular season this year. And we're gonna take a look at what the Clippers need to do in game two later tonight if they want to even this series at 1-1 apiece going back to LA. I'm going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to take a look at Clippers Nuggets basketball. Be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.